This is episode 96 of Parenting with the Focused Mindset. It's been an entire year since Dr. Ben Furman, psychiatrist, internationally renowned trainer of solution-focused therapy and coaching, came on our show. And I'm going to play parts of that interview for this special episode on Thanksgiving Day. And I just want you guys to look at it with a new lens because we've grown a lot in the last year. We've learned a lot about approaches that help us be our best self. But Ben Furman not only talks about solution-focused discipline, he hits on how we can train up teenagers and subjects like self-harm and parenting when we're a single parent, co-parenting, how to help our kids adjust and how to give them genuine compliments and how to work in a community with others. It's so many important subjects for us to think about moving into the very next season and into the next year. It's honestly one of my very favorite interviews, and I know that we're going to enjoy re-listening to this together. So let's get into it. Welcome to Parenting with the Focused Mindset. I'm your host, Cher Kretz. I'm a school counselor and a family mindset coach. I know that raising kids is quite the journey and doesn't always turn out as we planned. Here, we talk about the solution-focused approach. We learn how to celebrate when things are going well and how to deal with the many challenges that families face. Don't forget to hit subscribe, download, follow so you don't miss any of the family-oriented, solution-focused content that I put out for you right here each and every week. Listening to this podcast will help you be the best version of yourself in your home and with the people you love. Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us today. And before we get into the interview with Ben Furman, I want to say thank you for listening. So many of you guys have reached out and shared with me. I love reading your reviews. Each and every review that you guys put on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I take a minute to listen to, and it's so encouraging. I wanted to read a couple of them for you today. One of them says, I love how Cher is not afraid to talk about difficult issues. She helps parents deal with things that many people might prefer to sweep under the rug. Face your problems head on. Help your children face their problems head on, all with a solution-focused mindset. We need more of that today. Great work, Cher. Thank you so much, Davis. And then I have one that said, if you're raising a family, this will give you some great insight on these changing times. Take some time to listen to this powerful podcast, and her interviews are as interesting as her. Well, I happen to agree that the interviews are interesting, and that is exactly why we're going to revisit this interview today. It is so apropos as we think about how are we going to shape our parenting? How are we going to approach an unknown future? Well, using the solution-focused approach does not mean that we adopt some psychological voodoo into our parenting. It doesn't mean that we abandon all of our old ways, but Ben Furman is going to outline the benefits, and he's also going to give us so many practical tips. As this interview went on, we just got deeper and deeper into parenting and the importance of community. And I know that that's so important that we reach out and we join with each other in this endeavor. Many of you guys are a part of the Focused Mindset community. It's absolutely free to do so. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes, or you can hop over to thefocusedmindset.com. And all you have to do is give me your email. Each and every month, I interact with you. I use your ideas for this podcast, and we would love to have you. You can find your invitation to the community in the show notes, or, like I said, head over to thefocusedmindset.com. So let's listen in on our interview. Welcome. Thank you for being here, Ben.
It's a pleasure.
What about this approach makes you so excited about spreading it to everywhere?
I think I'm not the only one excited about it. It's like all my colleagues internationally are very excited about these ideas. They're basically very simple ideas and easy to teach to people. So many people are like, okay, I get it. So for example, when I teach in China, and I do have a lot of parents in my workshops because we are often doing workshops on the topic of how to help children who have any kind of problems. We call them mental health problems, but we can just say problems. So very often in my workshops, people come back and they say they've tried these ideas with their own children. And they found a way finally to communicate with their own child, and they're very happy, and they are like, wow, I couldn't believe it. I tried to talk with my child in this way, and now my child talked with me. Before we always get into arguments, and my child doesn't want to listen to me and doesn't want to talk to me, and no matter what I did, but this kind of gives me practical tools of how to reach another person, how to speak. And these tools that we have developed for communicating with kids in a better way. Sometimes people come to me, and I've had this experience that somebody comes and says, Ben, these ideas, they are good, they work. And I say, oh, so you work with children? No, I don't work with children at all. Oh, I know you have been using these ideas with your own children. No, I don't even have own children. So with whom have you been using? I'm like perplexed, and I'm like, with whom have you been using with my husband? It works very well, they say.
Yes, they're making it work for them, right? So it sounds to me like when you see the results in the people, that you're able to see the look on their face when something works, that must be what motivates you to keep moving forward.
Yes, and there are also other reasons. There's a lot of, dare I say, human rights violations going on in the field of psychology.
Oh,
We
yeah.
punish kids, and we throw them out of schools, and we send them to a trajectory of criminality. I don't think we are not so excellent in handling deviance. There are a lot of children who don't fit the norms, and they are behaving in ways that we don't accept, or we are worried about, or we think that it's kind of like a mental health problem or a kind of a personality disorder, or it's like something is wrong with this kid. And then we try to do something. So what we do is not always, kosher. It's not like the right thing to do. Punishing is not a very good way to try to get the children back on track. Medication is not a very good way of trying to get children back on track. And of course, any kind of criticizing or threatening kids with threatening kids with consequences. Do you think that happens in your country too?
Well, most definitely it does. That's a lot of what I talk to parents about, believe me, is how can I how can I have a different approach when many people, including my own parents, including not only the way I was raised, but the examples are saying, well, you just need to punish them more. That's the message that they get. And that's something that I think we should kind of unpack a little bit, because that is not something that comes natural. The natural thing is to do what was given to you, number one. And something in parents' mind says, no, I want to do better by my children. But how can I do that when my automatic response is punish?
I think you are right. I think it is like somehow in our culture, the may I say dominant discourse, the dominant way of thinking is based on can I say behaviorism?
Yes.
The idea that to raise children, you manipulate them by using basically two techniques. One is it could be called bribing, but rewarding. It's also called rewarding, and the other is called consequences. Or you could say punishment, because people don't like to say punishment. They say consequences. So sometimes, no, I don't punish my children. I just give them consequences. Yes, but what's the difference from the child point of view? It's exactly the same. So whether we are talking about rewards or punishments or bribing, or we are talking about whichever words we use, the frame of reference is still behaviorism. I am trying to change you by rewarding you and giving you consequences and hoping that you will mold into what the society and our family and what you should behave. And in solution focused, it's more based on collaboration. So it's quite a different concept. It's like, okay, so I have this idea, and it's like collaborative problem solving. It's like, I think we have Houston, we have a problem. You are not going to school. We need to solve this problem. How can we do this together? How can we, collaborate to find a solution to a problem? Not like I have to solve your problem by steering you with the use of, either consequences or rewards. And when we are training dogs, I think it is the right way. We have to use consequences and rewards. And many dog trainers these days, they say, no, don't use punishment. No, the punishment doesn't work. You have to use reward. And that's like a one step forward. But I would like us to take one more step, not only move away from punishment to rewards, but actually take the next step too. It's like, let's give up rewards, let's give up punishments, let's talk to our kids so we find solutions together.
That's like music to my ears. And many parents, when they feel, it's almost like they're released from that pressure almost of the punishment cycle. And the punishment cycle seems right in the moment, but it ends up putting you on a hamster wheel because they're working to please the parent, but it doesn't translate into owning it, into that personal, I want to do this because I want to be that person that's changed. And what have you found works to be able to help? Because in theory, I've talked to parents that say absolutely, but what have you found that works practically for parents to use this approach?
The story goes back to when I started to work with the kindergarten. We in Finland, kids start school when they are 7 years old. So 5 and 6 years old are still in kindergarten. And I was approached by a kindergarten by a small group of. It was only 8 children. It was special needs kids in a special unit. So it was a big kindergarten, but there was a special unit there, and they needed some help. Actually, they said that we are not that bad with the kids. We're actually quite good in helping these kids they all had problems, like behavioral problems and emotional problems and what have you. Of course, even if in those days maybe not everybody had a diagnosis, but today each of them would have not only one diagnosis, maybe several.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and medication at that time also.
Yes, most likely.
So anyways, they asked me for help, and one of the questions that the staff had was they would like to improve their collaboration with the parents, because they felt that they are not too bad with the kids, but they would like to find a way to collaborate better with the parents, because some parents, they felt, don't care, and others feel blamed, and there were many problems related to collaboration with the children's parents. And of course, there were also difficulties with the kids. So I said, yes, I'd be happy to work with you, but let's create something together that other kindergartens, other schools, parents, anybody could benefit from. And we decided that we will try to develop something. The idea that we embarked on was that let's not talk about problems. Let's skip the whole idea of problems. Let's assume that our children don't have any problems at all. They only have skills to learn. It's a kind of a little bit mindset type of a thing. So you are, of course, they have problems, but we don't look at them from the perspective of problems. We look at them from the perspective of some skill that they might need to develop so that they will be happy and adjusted and successful and so on. And it becomes much easier to talk with parents when you are not trying to solve the child's problem, but you are kind of finding an agreement with the parents about what would be an important skill for your child to learn in order for your child to be happy. And then they might say, the child is lying, for example. But you keep, you are consistent, and you say, and so of course you don't want your child to lie to you. That's not good. But what skill do you think he needs to learn so that he doesn't lie to you? And then you kind of continue with this question all the time, like, what skill? You can propose the skill. You can say, we have been observing your child. He's a wonderful child. He's very creative. He is wonderful. He's good at drawing. He's so sportive. You start by saying the good things about the child. The parents will feel very happy about your observations, of course. But then you continue, and then you say, but there is one skill we think that he might benefit from, and then you present the skill. And then the parents usually say, yeah, that would be a very good skill for our child. Yeah, we want to help you help our child learn that skill. See, we are kind of changing our language. We are changing our language from a problem-focused language to, I might say, solution-focused language, but nobody would understand what I mean. To make sure everybody understands what we are talking about, we don't say solution-focused, we say skill-focused. So what skill would be an important skill for your child? And then instead of, lying, it would be, of course, honesty. So honesty is a skill that the children need to learn. And then we are all talking about how honesty is an important skill and how you can learn such a skill and what progress have you already made and what does it look like. Let's try a situation where your honesty skill would be, challenged, and show us how you do that skill, and everybody like clapping their hands. You did it. You showed us.
Yes.
Celebrating. We make videos of children demonstrating their skills, but we kind of leave behind the world of problems, because there's something strange about the human brain. When you start to talk about problems, everybody starts to think, why? The why question is automatically raised. People come with explanations and they know exactly why. And this child suffered that, and the father was like this, and mother was like that, and the previous school was bullying, and this was that. They all have these extraordinary explanations. But then these explanations can become obstacle, like it stops people from discovering what can be done about it.
Mm-hmm. It kind of halts the progress, because then they're thinking about that rather than the solutions that exist.
I think you nailed it. It halts the progress. That's exactly what happened. And there is even a saying in English. They say sometimes that too much analysis causes paralysis.
Yes.
If you analyze things too much, then you definitely don't know what to do about it. So then that was our finding. And since those days, we have just been talking about skills to learn. And the bonus. The parents like to talk about what skills their children need to learn. They like to help in some ways to help the child learn that skill, because they don't feel blamed. They don't feel like you have done something wrong and therefore look at your child. You divorced your husband and this is what you get. Now you have a child with a lot of mental health problems. Yeah, but it's not my fault. My husband was a jerk. And then we are like only blaming each other for the problems and not moving on. But when you start talking about skills, everybody changes. Something happens in the human brain, people talk differently. And the bonus that I was referring to, you might have already guessed what I meant, and that's that also children like to learn skills. So we get two birds with one stone. I think that's the English expression. We say it differently, but it means that when you shift from problem language to skill language, you get the two birds with the one stone, and one is that parents like to collaborate, and then the other one is that the children also are willing to learn skills, and we can it's easier to collaborate with them.
Yeah, and so at that point, you have a family unit working together towards a common purpose. And when you have that type of collaboration in a family unit, they begin to grow closer through that process, where a punishment cycle, they grow further apart. Another benefit to focusing on the skills and everyone working together towards that purpose is that I can only imagine that people feel closer when they practice.
Even children feel closer, because when we started to use this model there in the kindergarten, so each child had a poster, a little mini poster on the wall with their name and a picture of their power animal. They get to choose an animal that helps me learn my skill, and all the little mini posters are there on the wall, and the children know. They know which skill my friend is learning, and I know which skill you are learning. And then often the staff is like also having some skills to learn, not only the kids. Why should the children be the only ones who are learning skills? In families, mama also might have a skill to learn, and daddy might have a skill to learn, and stepmother might have a skill to learn, and a foster mother might have a skill to learn, teacher might have a skill to learn. So it becomes more democratic. It's not like we are trying to use behavioral tactics and what is it called, token economy, I think, is one of the words from behavioral psychology, that we are using different strategies to change our children. This is not about changing children. This is about people growing and learning. So what is that? What is the thing that daddy might need to learn? And he probably has a skill to, or maybe if you ask his wife, he has many skills to learn. And then, the mommy might have a skill to learn. And then you can also motivate children better when parents are also learning skills. So the kids are more motivated. Okay, my father is learning, to handle his emotions or whatever it is, stop smoking or drive more carefully in traffic. It could be anything. But if there is a skill that my daddy is learning, and there is a skill that my mom is learning, even if they would be divorced, they could still, it has nothing to do with what kind of family arrangement you happen to have. So then the children are more motivated, and they will also learn. But in the kindergarten and in schools, we try to ensure that the kids know what skills their friends, their classmates are learning, so they will support and help and be actively supporting each other. I think that's the trick. It's not about learning skills, it's about helping each other learn skills. Now we are talking.
It's like people are very, they want to learn themselves, and they get excited about watching other people learn, rather than the opposite, where they feel like, well, let's just take an example of counseling. In counseling, if kids really get really honest with me, and usually they do, they will feel like they are an odd kid out. They're odd. They're the only one in the family that deals with these problems. They're the one that's the quote unquote bad kid. And this is maybe even a parent that's never used that word, but that's how they feel. If they're the child that's struggling in appearance the most with their behavior, they become to have such a complex in their family that they play out that role. They play out that role perfectly. Well, I'm the kid that always throws a fit, and this approach brings everything into focus where the child can say, wait a minute, I'm normal. I have skills that I need to learn just like
Yeah.
everyone else does.
Like everyone else. That's an important aspect that you mentioned. Like in kids skills, we call this approach kids skills. So then it's usually done in some kind of a collective fashion. So we don't pinpoint, we don't pick kids out of their context and say you need some psychotherapy, you are a little bit mental, we need to do something with you, we need to give you medication, or we need to put you into psychotherapy. Now it's quite different. It's like we are all in need of learning skills, our parents, our teacher. I remember one headmaster, no, you wouldn't say headmaster, you would say principal of a school, principal of an elementary school, like primary school.
Yes.
And he announced through the school PA system, like the radio system in the school, he said, in our school we are going to start learning skills, and I can tell you what is my skill right now. I have a bad habit of interrupting people when they come to talk to me about this or that, so I'm going to learn to become better at listening. That's my skill. Now you get to choose your skill. We want to give example to the kids that we are also learning skills, then they will want to learn skills. And what is I said two birds with one stone.
That's right.
But maybe there is a third bird that with the same stone, because when we are learning skills, we don't have to be ashamed. When we have problems, we are always a little bit ashamed, and the parents make sure that nobody knows that my child has this problem or that problem. But when the children are learning skills, it becomes quite easy to be open about it and say my kid is learning to play with other children or whatever it is.
What might you tell a parent that is motivated to help their children learn skills but are feeling overwhelmed and feeling stressed?
Yeah, you are right. But I think parents could benefit from learning what teachers today are trying to learn. Managers in many Fortune 5000, Fortune 500 companies. I mean, all over the world, managers in companies are taking coaching training. And then we are like seeing more and more teachers in schools that are kind of a little bit more happy than many other teachers about their work. And then you go like, why are you not complaining? Everybody's supposed to be complaining. So then they say, I've had some training in coaching. Whoa, has that somehow changed you? Yes, it's changed me totally. So tell me about it. How can what has changed? Before, I used to tell children what to do, but now I just ask questions. So then you kind of become aware that there is something called coaching out there, and it's different. It's not like telling people or trying to change them or making rules and demanding, and it's very unauthoritarian approach, but it's still an approach to help people motivate. It's a motivational technique, but you are more using questions, and these good questions that you can ask people. I mean this, like we already talked about one good question. What is a skill that you might need to learn in order to help you, be successful in school? Ask that to a kid, and okay, maybe the child will say, I have no clue and I'm not interested. Could be, but don't give up so quickly. If you want to learn the coaching approach, it's possible to learn. And you can do small exercises first. So that's my job, to teach teachers, parents, grandparents, counselors, a coaching style of conversation which is not based on trying to change people. It's based on helping people figure out what might be good for them and what kind of skills they might need to develop, and how other people particularly how other people can help them in making those in growing or learning. I'd rather say learning those skills than growing. But of course, when you learn skills, you are growing.
Then you grow. Now, I have to say that approach of changing, it's a mindset shift from I have to control all of this that's in my home to saying, hey, I can coach this. Let's make a game plan. Let's set a game plan in action that can be helpful to learn these skills. I can imagine that alone could lighten the load of a parent that's feeling like they're quite overwhelmed with the task of making sure their kids get all their schoolwork done.
And you know, this is not only mild problems, it's also for serious problems. Like I was talking the other day with a mother who was so extremely worried about her 13-year-old daughter who had started to cut herself, with a knife, so blood comes out. It's very anxiety provoking when your children are doing this kind of self-harming type of things, and a single mother you are, and she's like asking me to help her, and I said, okay, I can talk to your daughter, and the daughter actually talked to me once. She did come. We had a relative. It felt like a good talk, but then the mother is like, "What can I do? And how can I, help her?" And then you ask, like, who do you have? Who's helping you? So then, not many, but are there other kids, other girls in the classroom that might have similar problems? I asked. I think so. I think one of the other girls is also cutting, and they have a gang. They are like 4 girls or something. I see. So do you know the mothers of the other girls? No, we haven't talked. So would it be possible to, call or find some? I never thought about it like that. And then, starting to think a little bit differently. Like, as a single mother, this is overwhelming. You cannot handle that. Come on, stop blaming yourself. It's impossible for you to, your girl is 13 years old, she's starting to give the finger to her own mother. She has friends, and they are all a little bit, doing weird things and so on. And all their mothers are worried about these kids. So guess what? She did contact the other mothers, and they are planning to collaborate. And when the mothers and fathers collaborate, then they have much more chances, much more likely that they will have a meeting with the girls, and the girls will start to think about, let me use my words, think about what skills they need to learn in order not to do things that their parents certainly don't want them to do.
No, and I agree that building a network of support around you on purpose is so helpful, because we're talking about the skill, whether it's the skill of going to bed on time, or it's a skill of managing your stress, or even stopping something that's become such a habit. And we know that things like self-harm and many other big issues.
Computer addiction.
Oh, yes. And also just social media. Things are powerful in a child's mind. They are powerful. And it seems so alarming to the parent that they want so desperately to punish them out of doing that behavior. And that's exactly the opposite of anything that'll loosen the grip. But then when the parent turns and asks them and loosens it up and says, you know what? We're not talking about you as a problem. We're talking about you as, what do you need to learn? It can change everything. That, along with collaboration, it can change everything.
And particularly when we are talking about teenagers who are more difficult to handle, then we might want to collaborate with the other parents, and we might want to collaborate with the friends, because the friends have so much influence. So even in kindergarten, in Finland here, the kids that we started to work with, they're like 5 and 6 years old, but they can help each other better than the teacher, better than the parents, because they're very dependent on each other. And if you know you have a friend who is supporting you in learning to control your temper, for example, which is a very important skill for many kids, so then you kind of grow into a culture where I see it's very difficult for people to change themselves unless they get support from other people. And those people that are going to support you, they have to be important people to you. Yes. So maybe your sports coach, and sometimes it's not mom and dad. Sometimes it's your uncle. Sometimes it's your auntie, maybe grandmother, maybe your favorite person in the neighborhood, maybe your friend, maybe the father of your friend. So there should be maybe it would make all our lives easier if we were more network oriented in the way we think about child rearing.
Listening to podcasts. Reaching out to the community of the people that listen to that podcast, we need to look for new ways because it's best for our families to live in community.
And come to think about it, when you speak like that, is that we are so used to sitting in these Zoom meetings in our work. So maybe we should also start to do Zoom meetings with with the children and the teenagers and even the smaller kids and their parents. So we should use our talent to do successful Zoom meetings with our natural networks, not only with our colleagues in our work.
The circumstances we can't control, but we can control our own actions, and we can control the things that we'd like to learn in our lifetime. Right here in your own home, you can work on that, and that can be a step forward that might truly give them the wings they need to progress and to make progress in their families.
Yes, and now that we are talking about skills to learn, so we already covered the idea that children are maybe more motivated to learn a skill that would make them succeed in school, or have a better relationship with their brother, or whatever it is, if this is done collectively. And with teenagers, it means that you are not the only teenager in this social network who is learning a skill. Susie also has a skill to learn, and Rebecca also agreed with her parents that and actually Susie's mother also has a skill to learn, and his father, even if the father lives on the other side of the ocean, so he's also agreed to learn a skill. So now we are going to support each other, and then if we do it like this, then we still need to talk about motivation, because people very often agree to learn all kinds of things, but then nothing happens. Then we get very frustrated. So then the question of motivation becomes very interesting, and I think this is something that we should all be interested in. What is it that motivates people, and we start to kind of collect motivational tools. And I have created a list of them in the Kid Skills method. It's actually kind of a motivational method. The moment you start to talk about skills, the next question is motivation. Like, how do we ensure that people actually learn those skills that they said that they want to learn? But one thing is that if you can make it fun, kids can learn anything. And this is true for adults too, that we are much more likely to learn something if it's made, if it's fun, if there are maybe levels. You borrow from gaming industry, you steal ideas from gaming industry, and you know that the games that are much more popular than the other games are those where it's a network. That's like you are a gang. You're not alone playing there with the Mario Bro or something. You're actually having a whole network of you get to know them, you speak with them, you communicate with them. So there we can go into the world of gaming, and we can retrieve lots of lovely ideas from the world of gaming. And since the world of gaming has been so successful, so why don't we go and steal all their ideas and bring them into education?
I absolutely love it. And I remember hearing you talk, and we're going to find out in a few moments every place that we can find you for those that are not going to be able to say that this is enough. They need more of what you're teaching. But I remember on one of your YouTubes I browsed that you talked about allowing kids to have imaginary friend or an imaginary person, help them along. If they don't have a friend that can help them, you could say, well, do you have, and I thought of the gaming world because avatars are so.
Avatars.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what I've allowed in teaching many times, I say, what is the avatar that you love to play in your fill in the blank favorite game? And then I say, well, what if that avatar was walking right alongside you? What if they were motivating you? What would they say? And it just, their eyes light up because the possibility of that being their helper.
Native and Native American Indians, they use this power animal idea, that it kind of comes in your dreams and then it helps you or protects you. And in many religions, you have the idea of a guardian angel. Children create that idea without anybody telling them. They can have friends, or they can have heroes or superheroes. So actually, this is quite a common thing that people they find it very useful to identify or to befriend some kind of a Baloo. Think about Baloo. Baloo is a good one from the Disney animation.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is kind of a lovely idea, because if the child is afraid of something, for example, then you ask them what are you, computer game character or cartoon character or fairy tale character they can think of that could help them overcome. And when it's a fear, and we were saying that the opposite of fear is not exactly a skill, but it could be a bravery. So then you are saying, which bravery do you need? You're shifting from fear or phobia to bravery or courage, if you like. And then you kind of say, now you are talking about bravery. And when you are talking about bravery, it's kind of automatic that who can help you learn that bravery? And even if you didn't think about some fantasy creature, or the children come up with that idea. Yeah, they will say, this beaver will help me. And then you go, oh, the beaver will help you. Yeah, beaver is my best friend. And then maybe it's a cuddly toy, or maybe it's something in their mind, or something that they fantasize. But anyway, the moment they say, the beaver will help me, of course you will say, how will the beaver help you? And then the child enters a kind of a creative process where they say, I will glue a picture of the beaver on my desk or something. They come up with all kind of silly ideas, perhaps from the adult perspective, but they are actually quite lovely ideas, and they're not alien to adults either, because even if adults maybe don't have a power animal, so they might have some kind of... Maybe they should. You could have a symbol, you could have a logo. There are so many ways that we can use our imagination to support us in motivate us, support us, to change something, eating habits, or to change behavioral habits, or to change emotional habits. If you become angry and you start shouting, and now you should learn to not shout, to talk nicely. Even when you are irritated, you still learn to control your way of speaking. That's an important skill for many, and many parents actually, they say there's one skill I would need to learn. I lose my temper very easily with my children. And they say, okay, so what skill do you need to learn? Well, I think I need to learn to stay calm, even if my children are, pushing my buttons. So then you say, oh, that's a wonderful skill, and I'm sure many people in your family will benefit. Your children will benefit, your husband will benefit,
yes.
You will benefit, because then you won't, be angry at yourself for losing it again. So then you can always enter the realm of imagination and say, who can help you? Maybe maybe people first say, nobody, I have to do it by myself. Then you would probably say, hey, come on. You are not a miracle maker. Nobody can do these things alone. You need help.
I mentioned to you that I'm going to be doing a couple of series on how to help kids feel balanced and secure when they have two homes that they're living in. And even though we won't have time to dive into all of that, I think that this concept alone is something helpful, because a child can take that superhero and that power animal, or that they can take that with them from home to home, and it can be something that is a commonality between those two spaces, and then in the larger family unit that they call home, which is sometimes two homes, right?
I like that there was a family therapist, and the child was having it was so difficult for the child to move from one home to the other, and it was a nuisance. The kid was a nuisance when he was returning to mother or returning to father. I don't remember. Either way, it can be both ways too. Huh? Anyway, so the therapist said that the reason for this for being so difficult is that the body has moved houses, but the soul has not yet.
That's powerful right there. Let's all pause and think about that. That was powerful.
So when the body is now the body is at mom's place, the body and the soul were at dad's place. Now the body is at mom's place, but the soul is like halfway in between.
Wow, that's so interesting to consider. And we've all experienced when we've gone on a vacation or something, and we come home and we're getting ready for work the next day. And I'm still over there on vacation. Why am I going to work today? You know?
Half your soul is still there, so to say, metaphorically speaking. And so the therapist said you have to have a hat, like a cap that you're wearing. Could be a scarf just as well. It doesn't matter what it is. But anyway, then you keep it on until your soul has arrived.
Oh, how sweet is that? I love that.
So your mom will know that you are not, that your soul has not yet arrived, and she will leave you alone.
And the kid will be like, give me a minute. It's like a visual way of them kind of knowing, give me a minute. Give me a minute. Yeah. I'll be all right.
Yeah. And then people don't get so nervous about it. And what has your daddy done with you again? You haven't been sleeping well, and you haven't been eating well. See what you are behaving like that. And then they, start to shout, or even
not
if they
helpful.
don't say anything.
Not helpful.
No.
Well, I love that. That is the sweetest thing. I cannot believe how much we've covered, and this time has just flown by. And from just understanding that there are a lot of pressures that are put on us and questions about how can we raise our kids in the right way, and being able to have our eyes opened that there are approaches that can bring collaboration to all of our kids, and more than that, help them be excited about learning, specifically learning skills. Where can you be? Where's the place that we can go on social media to find you? Do you have some books if people are interested? Tell us about where we can find you.
I'm quite easy to find. You just put my name on Google and you find my YouTube channel, and you find the books that I have been writing. And of course, you find my website, www.benfurman.com.
Do you have something that you might say, hey guys, let's practice this week?
Yeah, there are many exercises that we do in parenting classes and so on, but one of the popular ones that most people like is called triple praise.
Share it with us.
It's a fun exercise. It's based on the idea of catch them doing good, and you do it. You don't do it only with your kids. You have to do it with your husband or wife or your partner or whoever you happen to be with. And then you catch them doing good, or you ask them, like, what have you done this week or today that went well, that you are proud of, that succeed. It's like small everyday successes. You observe them having a successful something, maybe they helped you in the kitchen, or they cleaned their room, or they did their homework without you having to bribe them or threaten them with huge punishments. No, but not punishment. Only consequences.
Yes, even consequences. We're getting rid of that.
So then you catch them doing good, like I think you say there in America, which is a lovely expression, and then or you ask them what they have done, and when they tell you, you are like all ears, and or if you tell them, you mention what you saw that they did, and then you do the triple praise. It's naturally consisting of 3 compartments, and the first one is exclamation of wonder. That means you say something like, wow, well done, good job, I'm amazed, I can't believe it, I'm impressed. And then you combine to this exclamation of wonder some hand signal. It can be a high five or a fist bump or a tap on the shoulder or whatever you can. Maybe the Facebook sign, the thumbs up sign. Anyway, that's it. So you don't have to say anything. Particularly with teenagers, it's better not to say anything. You just show them your thumbs up sign or some other sign that's in. The second part is declaration of difficulty. Then you say something in line with that's not easy. It's difficult. I have tried and I haven't. Many don't fail. Many have failed. Many have tried and many have failed. Something in that effect. And the last part of the triple praise is, of course, a question. It's a request for an explanation. That's the scientific name of the third part, requests for an explanation. And then you go like, how did you do that? So that's the triple praise. And that's what you need to practice with anyone. Find a victim from anywhere, even from the local store, whoever you
local store.
And then you subject them to your triple praise. See what happens. You'll have a lot of fun.
Oh, it will be fun. But I definitely think that needs to be our solution-focused exercise this week, the triple praise.
And one more thing, when you write it in the practice note, don't forget to write that when you ask them, how did you do that? If they don't thank anyone for having succeeded, you have to ask them one more question, and that is, who helped you?
I love that. They're simple questions, but simple and powerful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that takes us to the end of our interview with Dr. Ben Furman from Finland. Remember to head over to his website, benfurman.com, to learn more about kids skills. And my website, thefocusedmindset.com, is going to give you solution-focused strategies. I have some special giveaways just for you moving into the holidays. And if you guys are looking for some amazing gifts for your kids, don't forget to check out the Big Life Journal. And when you use the link that's on my website or right here in the show notes, it helps support the Focused Mindset. Another great way to support us is to leave a review. I'd love to hear your review in the month to come and read it. I appreciate it so much. And you can share with me some of the things that you've done that works with your kids. And as we move into the holiday season, December's right around the corner, I hope that you find peace, joy, happiness with your children, with your family, with your loved ones. And until next time, keep in touch and take care.